What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for a review of album number 13 by the new metal band Korn. This one is titled The Nothing, and it sees their lead vocalist and primary lyricist Jonathan Davis dealing with turmoil. Obviously that's a recurring theme with Korn, but now his mother and his ex-wife have both passed away, so how does that grief translate to tape? It's kind of a tangled web that I find myself in, as a music critic but also a music fan more than anything else, that puts his opinions out on the internet but also likes the band Korn, something that's frowned upon by the music community apparently. Apparently Korn are so easily scoffable, they're one of those bands that are easy to brush off for so many people and to not take seriously, but I've always enjoyed their music despite their cringeworthy moments in their discography. I think they've got some bad albums on their hands, but they've also got some great albums on their hands, and namely in 2016 and 2013, their most recent two albums, The Paradigm Shift and The Serenity of Suffering, I found to be great albums, at the very least, very solid ones that I came back to a decent amount of tracks from. And starting with the lead single, You'll Never Find Me, from this new album, The Nothing, I was hooked. This grapples with emotions so incredibly well, dealing with those low ends of life, the depression that Davis now finds himself in. I was so stoked to see how he would explore this, and I'm happy to see that he does explore those inner demons even further on this new record. I don't think The Nothing is as heavy as The Serenity of Suffering, at least not musically. What it might lack in musical intensity, I think it more than makes up for on this emotional well that it continues to draw from and simultaneously pour back into. This is an album that uses a lot of openness, a lot of raw, vulnerable lyrics that date back to Jonathan Davis's molestation as a child, something that absolutely breaks my heart every time I'm reminded of when I listen to Korn's music, namely songs like Daddy in the past, and now we have a couple here that definitely bring that back into the light. And it's unfortunate to see that Jonathan Davis is having all of these demons manifest themselves once again, and I think the songwriting is poignant, but it's also simple. I don't always come to Korn for the lyrics. I think more often than not, I'm coming in for maybe monkeys shifting bass rhythms, or perhaps the chugging guitar riffs from Jonathan Head Welsh. I just feel that once again here on this record, they've crafted something that is musically intoxicating. It's very heavy. The riffs are organic and also unique, but also they don't just rely on the fact that they're hard-hitting or heavy. They can grapple with other tendencies as well. The Nothing kind of plays out like a dark, twisted carnival, except you realize that that dark carnival is in fact the life of an individual. And it's not so personal that you can only hear Davis's side of the story. I think that there's a lot that you can extract and possibly feel in your own personal life. And more so than a lot of the recent Korn releases, I feel that this one is connecting with me, at least on a lyrical level. The second half of the album does lag behind just a bit more, but that's not to say that there aren't some very intense moments that you can really sink your teeth into, or else see the fears just flying out of. I think that this album spreads its colors, and those colors being black and white. It's something that takes the blackness, the darkness, and just starts to spread it. The album cover is perfect. I absolutely love the art for this because it seems like it's showing that the singer is getting tangled up in all of these cords of life, everything that's trying to choke him out, bring him back down. He even sings about trying to run for the light, but God is making fun of him. This is something that maybe at surface level I can see how it could come off cheesy, and maybe you're not going to take it seriously, but I genuinely see this as an artist, as a human being that's dealing with a lot of pain, a lot of pressure, and maybe he's not dealing with it all that well. He can't handle all of it, and I'm glad that the music is hopefully there for him to help him vent his demons. This is an album that's able to continuously circumvent without shifting its core sound all that much. It's giving a refreshing take on a classic Korn sound while adding in some very fresh riffs, as I noted before, and also some top-notch drum and bass performances. The End Begins sees Korn returning to their bagpipe roots in a way. Some might absolutely hate it. I honestly have liked it many of the times that Korn have utilized that in their back catalog. I think this is a really solid opener that gets the mood feeling very tense, almost like a funeral, the Dark Carnival, as I mentioned before. But as the track list continues on, we get the track Cold, and that is an absolute bombast of a tune. The vocals scream intensity, anger, and emotion, not coping well, and the music backs that up. The screams on this track are absolutely so almost maniacal. Idiosyncrasy is another top-notch track that sees Davis trying to find the right path for himself, and right before that we get The Darkness is Revealing, which riff-wise is probably my favorite song on the album. I love the guitars that open this thing up. It's just a cataclysm, and the more that the song rolls on, you can feel that suspense kind of winding itself up. I don't want to toot Korn's own horn a little bit too hard here, but honestly, the more I listen to it, the more I settle into this groove, and I'm just fascinated by it. The Seduction of Indulgence is about the loss of childhood innocence that Davis was faced with, and it honestly is kind of hard to listen to. It does just maybe make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially as Davis is repeating these words like raping me over and over again, and it can just make you feel uncomfortable, but it's intentionally done that way. It's a short tune, clocking in at under 2 minutes, but it's one of the more effective tracks on the Nothing. I did find the track Harder, which is stylized like this, to be a little bit more disappointing. I feel like this is almost an inferior version of You'll Never Find Me that appears on the album that I'm obviously a huge fan of. The way that the vocals kind of build up, the screams on the track, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it feels more forgettable. It doesn't feel like it does enough to differentiate itself, and again, that's part of my problem with the back half of the album. Definitely a fan of the Ringmaster though, that just helped nail down my theory about this feeling like a dark carnival. I felt that that sinister, lurking feeling was sneaking up on me anyways, and then the first time that I played through the Ringmaster, I was like, oh, this all makes sense. And then it closes out on the back-to-back combo of This Loss and Surrender to Failure, both of which I feel are strong tracks, but especially that closer, it just leaves something with you. It leaves not just a haunting feeling, but something that feels unsettling. Overall, for me, I'm going to give this a light 4 out of 5. Not quite as great as the Serenity of Suffering, but just about on par with that for me. New to the channel? Then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the neighborhood. Ring the bell so that you get notified when I upload more reviews and other top 10s, ranked episodes, and my weekly countdown series 7 on Sunday. If you want to see my thoughts on the Serenity of Suffering, then tap right here, or tap here for another recent metal review. Other than that, my socials can be found in the description, and I'll see you soon for more right here on ARTV.